Have you ever noticed that the closer you get to the equator, the more flavorful food becomes? Not always spicier, but always more flavorful. It's a preservation technique. And the Dominicans in the Dominican Republic, they use citrus, and it's so tasty. And for me, they've got the best fried chicken. Today, I'm gonna show you my version of it. Let's make it. We'll start with some chipotle powder. Smoky, wonderful. Got a little bit of garlic powder, very important. And you can kind of like use the amounts that you want. I went heavy on the chipotle. Here's a little onion powder. Give it some depth. Here we have paprika. Always lovely, adds color. Here we have cumin. And this is how I feel about that. And here we have oregano, dried oregano. So essentially we're making our own adobo seasoning, which is what is traditionally used in this chicharrones de pollo recipe, right? And it's probably a little bit of paprika and salt and definitely dried oregano. They're really big on that in Mexico and in the Dominican Republic. And salt, lots and lots of salt. But the real important thing is the lime. They use tons and tons of lime. 75% of the time when you get near the equator, food gets spicier, right? Think of Spanish food, spicy. Southern Italian, spicy. Northern Italian, not so much. Moroccan food, spicy. Why? Because the refrigerator is a new thing. And before the refrigerator, you needed to kill bacteria because food would go bad. Guess what? Spice kills food. But the Dominicans don't eat spicy food. How are they going to prevent bacteria from forming on their food? Acid. And that's where the lime thing comes in. If you're in the Dominican Republic, you won't find a lot of spicy food. I'm not saying that it doesn't exist, but more often than not, it's acidic rather than spicy. And I like that, it's nice, it really is. So if you go with the thighs, they're gonna hold more moisture, they're darker, it's fattier, it's just more flavorful in general. Come in with our lime homemade adobo seasoning. If you do this in a bag, look, it's really easy because there's no chicken mess anywhere. You're able to mix it really, really well. And now it's ready to marinate, and chicken has touched nothing, which is great because when chicken touches stuff, things need to be cleaned. And when things need to be cleaned, you say to yourself, why did I start making this recipe? I don't want to clean. That's why we use the bag. All right, so let it marinate. So now we make the dredge, very simple. All-purpose flour, garlic powder, salt. Mix it around. Maybe use a fork. Okay, so we've got this. It hangs for a minimum of 2 hours. You can go overnight. And the deal is that lime kind of creates like a semi-cure. It sort of changes the texture a little bit, gives us something that's a little bit firmer. It's pretty interesting. So just dredge around. Just want to shake the excess off here, and then this is going to go into oil that is at 370 degrees. Be extra careful. The real takeaway here is don't let that oil temperature drop too much. Okay? So we started at 370. We've now dropped to 350. That's okay. But once you start getting to 310, that's when your food gets oil-logged, not so crispy, not so cooked through. So, what is the point? The point is, how powerful is your burner? If it's very powerful, you can put a lot of chicken in there. If it's not so powerful, you gotta do it in batches. You don't wanna overcrowd the pan. So these come out, they're looking delicious. It smells great. I smell all those spices. I'm gonna let these dry out on these toasted slices of bread here. A little bit of salt while it's hot. And we have these resting on bread because bread is porous, and that means that there's less chance steam is gonna form underneath the little bits of chicken, which means you're gonna get a crispier piece of chicken. You're gonna get a chicharrone de pollo. So a small chicken nugget chicharrone inspired by the Dominican Republic. Acidic, juicy, irresistible. Oh.